Sometimes I wonder if I should ever have taken that commission. Knowing what I know now, was the plan of fratricide and grief worth the few coins I was given in exchange for my colorful cloth? Maybe they were, given how the story ends, but I'm not sure about that. Or was it my coat at all? Maybe that was simply the tipping point, and what happened after was always the way it would be when you dare to be yourself. I don't know. But sometimes I find my mind wandering to these unanswerable questions late at night as I try to sleep. My name is Miriam, and I am a weaver of cloth. One day, a man named Jacob, who many called Israel because he had struggled with God, came to me and asked me to make a beautiful, colorful garment for his favorite son. That's when the alarm bells should have rung in my head, but didn't. Why was he not having one of his many wives or daughters-in-law make this garment? Probably because he wasn't having one made for all of his sons, just for Joseph. But I thought that perhaps he was coming to me because my skill had been made known in the community and he wanted the best. That's what I like to tell myself, at least. But regardless of the reason, I agreed to his request and we settled on the details of price and timeline. It was going to take me a while to make with all of his special requests. He wanted so many colors. Some of them I could easily find the dyes for. Red and yellow and green and brown and blue. But then his list continued. Where in the world was I to find scarlet and ochre and peach and ruby and olive and violet and fawn, lilac and gold, chocolate and mauve? I was definitely going to have to make some of my own colors for this cloth. But I got to work. And soon enough, I had a beautifully colorful garment ready for Jacob to give to his son Joseph. When Jacob saw it, he was thrilled, and in appreciation for the workmanship that went into it, he invited me to be there when he gave it to Joseph. What an honor! Jacob called his son over to him, and after a few brief words about how much he loved him, he motioned me over, carrying the gift. Joseph eyed the cloth with amazement, and then gently took it from my hands. At his father's encouragement, he tried it on, and thanks to my skill, it fit perfectly. He started spinning around, trying to see it from all angles, and then hugged his father tight. Later, I heard the rest of the story. It's a small community, and no one's secrets stay secret for very long. It seems that beyond being his father's favorite, Joseph was also a dreamer. And one night he received a dream that if he was smart, he would have kept to himself. He told his brothers later that day about his dream in which they were all represented by sheaves of wheat, and theirs all bowed down to his. His brothers were incensed. It wasn't enough that they had to put up with their father's favoritism, Joseph's preferential treatment when it came time to divide up the labor of the day, or his beautiful garment that let him be recognized from a mile away. Now they had to deal with his visions of grandeur. They would bow down to him? Not likely. And to make matters even worse, Joseph didn't learn from his mistakes. Soon after his first dream, he had a second, this time including his father and mother's as well as his brothers. In it, the sun, moon, and stars bowed down to him as well. If only, If only he could read the room and realize with every utterance of his dreams he was placing himself in more danger. Until that fateful day, when Jacob sent Joseph to go find his brothers and bring word back to Jacob, Joseph never returned, and Jacob was never the same. Instead, Joseph's brothers came home with that beautiful coat in bloody pieces, telling a tale of heartbreak. Not only had Jacob now lost his favorite wife, Joseph's mother, Rachel, but now his favorite son was gone as well, devoured by an animal, or so it was presumed. But there were rumors in town, though no one dared to speak them to Jacob, rumors that his brothers had killed Joseph themselves, tossing him down a well to starve. Rumors that they had not killed him at all, but sold him and kept the money they received to themselves. Rumors abounded in those first days after Joseph did not return. But eventually they quieted. Till recently, that is. These last few years have been a famine here, and Jacob sent his sons to Egypt along with some of the other men from the community to see if they had any food to spare. We've heard that there was an official there who interprets dreams and prepared Egypt for the coming famine. When they came back, there were whispers about Joseph again. Whispers that they had seen one who knew their family and asked after their father. Whispers that there was something familiar about him. Whispers that this man had kept one of their brothers in Egypt until they could return with Benjamin, the one who took Joseph's place as the favored, the one Jacob could not bear to part with. Whispers and rumors again. And then the second time they returned, the words turned from whispered rumors to words of disbelief to shouts of joy. Joseph was alive. He was living in Egypt with a family of his own and in a position of power to the Pharaoh. He had given life-saving grain to the ones who had once hated him so much they sold him into slavery. Jacob rejoiced. The son that had been dead had been restored to him. It was good news all around. But I can't help thinking what a complicated story this good news is. It is filled with jealousy and thoughts of murder and favoritism, slavery and hardship and courage and hope and grace. Joseph didn't know how to not be himself. And in our place, that version of himself was not welcomed or valued by those around him in the way that it should have been. Valued too much by some and not enough by others. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a place where there was a Joseph-shaped hole just waiting to be filled. In Pharaoh's household, his dreams weren't a threat. They were a gift. And I wonder if that isn't the same with all of us, too. Where is the place with a Miriam-shaped hole or a U-shaped hole where you can share your gifts exactly as you are and be loved fully? Sometimes those places can be hard to find. They can take you through moments of deepest despair and loneliness and hardship. But I truly hope that you can find your place, because everyone deserves that. Joseph did, I do, and so do you. So share your dreams. Wear your coat of many colors. Share the real you with others. And know that as you do, God goes with you until the place you most belong is made known. Thanks be to God for that.